What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Tribe of Millionaires podcast from GoBundance. I'm your host, Jamie Gruber. I think I do that the same way every time, but it is what it is. Today, I welcomed in a fellow GoBundance member, a gentleman who lives down in Colombia. He is the founder and partnered in a company called Legacy, which is really focused on coffee. So we dove deep into him going from Buffalo, New York, go Bills, we're both Bills fans, all the way down to Colombia, where he now owns the third largest, soon to be largest Colombian coffee company, which is no small task. We all know coffee to be from Colombia. Coffee, Colombia and coffee are synonymous with one another. So his name is Adam Jason, and Adam has done an amazing job going from, humble beginnings, becoming an attorney at one point, focused on SEC regulation, so on and so forth, to eventually making a trip down to Colombia, meeting a business partner, relocating there, getting married there to a Colombian. His wife is Colombian. And now he's living the life down there really cheap. Wait till you hear what he pays monthly to live there, and how his passive income, which is not that much, pretty much covers all of his expenses living in a really nice place in Medellin, Colombia. Tons of discussion around how he's gotten to where he is. A lot of discussion on coffee, the future of his company. And we sprinkled in a little Buffalo Bill discussion as well. So for those of you who aren't fans, my apologies. But every so often, every 20 years or so, us Bills fans get a little bit of a glimmer of hope. We're in it right now. So I'm going to double down and triple down with everybody I can. So all of that is the fun stuff. I think you'll get a ton of value from this interview. You're going to learn a lot from Adam on the specific opportunity that he has down in Colombia and what he's doing and what it can be and all of that stuff. So make sure you subscribe, like, comment. Let us know what you think about this episode. Otherwise, enjoy my friend and fellow Bills fan, Bills Mafia. Go Bills, Adam Jason. Welcome to the show, fellow Bills Mafia member, Adam Jason.
Thanks, Jamie. I couldn't do this podcast with you without the Bills Yeti here. It only
That's right.
felt right. So
that's right.
Glad to do it, but this is cool. Thank you.
Well, we were talking before about Eric Wood, a former Pro Bowler, Walter Payton Man of the Year, Buffalo Bills center. He'll be on this podcast. I'll make sure I'll get him to do a shout out to you. How's that?
Awesome. Yes.
I love it. All right. Well, let's dive deep. Your Buffalo Bills roots, I'm sure we'll come into this, but what's the backstory of you? You're in Colombia now, but you started in Buffalo. Give me the beginning through there, if you would.
Yeah, I guess it's probably even crazier, the story, thinking from where I am now to where I came. But like you said, living down here in Colombia, been here for 4 years now, just got married back in March to a Colombian, a long way from Buffalo, New York. Really grew up small town there, spent most of my, I guess, young adulthood focused on football and that kind of stuff, and really didn't kind of see the path forward of where I am now. But went to Ithaca College to study to be a phys ed health education teacher, and just got to a point where I said, wow, I don't think I can really do this. But all my kind of influence growing up and everything was basically teachers and sports. So kind of saw myself going in that direction. Got to the end of the road there in college, and honestly needed to buy myself more time and find something that I could dedicate the same amount of effort that I'd given to sports, in the next kind of phase of my life. Chose to go to law school. Like I said, part kind of new experience, but also give myself some more time to experience and figure out what I wanted to do. Really hit the ball kind of well there and picked up and ran with it. Ended up working at two of the larger law firms in the US, really in the capital markets, SEC regulation areas, helping Fortune 500 companies, big Wall Street banks raise a ton of money in IPOs, public-private equity. Probably have done about $10 billion in financing for companies in the US. I got moved down to Dallas, was working at a firm down in Dallas, and got an offer to go to a firm in Houston. Had a month in between jobs, and my small town roots kind of took me through that traditional path of high school, college, law school, go to work. Never had really done much traveling or anything along those lines. So wanted to use that month to really kind of do some exploration. Found Colombia, met my now business partner down here, saw a ton of opportunity in the market from a business perspective, loved the lifestyle and everything it had to offer. Went back to the US and was really at the point in my career where you decide, do you go to the the partnership at the law firm? Do you go in-house and work for a client? What am I going to do? And I decided to kind of take the entrepreneurial route, move back down here to Colombia, get started building our own businesses, and kind of knowing that that world back there was always there for me if I wanted to. Things have gone as well as I could have hoped for, and now sit as a partner for private equity group down here. We build businesses and we invest in businesses, really with the premise being, how do we open up a new market to US based investors who are looking for opportunities they might not otherwise have access to, in markets they otherwise might not have access to, but with a US based management team that they can get comfortable around. From a lifestyle perspective, things are fabulous down here. As I mentioned, got married a few months ago. It's crazy where kind of the twists and turns of life take you. And, long way from Buffalo, but still watch the Bills every Sunday along with you. So,
and you're bringing new fans like your wife, a Colombian woman, into Bills Mafia. That's important. It's important to expand.
She jokes that she's the founding member of the Colombian fan club for the Bills, but when she sits next to me and watches the game, it's a lot more of Mario Brothers and playing on her phone than it is rooting for the team. So I'm working on it, but she does eat the wings that I make for the game.
Nice.
So.
Bills backers of Colombia. I like it. She's the president of the club. I like it.
Exactly.
Quick aside, Ithaca College. I went to Ithaca for 2 weeks.
Oh, nice.
My first 2 weeks going to college, I just didn't like it there. I left while I could get my money back, but I lived in one of the towers, I think it was, right? Yeah. That's funny that we share that as well.
Yes.
Where'd you go to law school?
I went to New York Law School.
Okay. All right. So you stayed within New York and then later kind of jumped out. Why? Maybe you said it and I missed it, but why Colombia? When you decided to travel, what was it about Colombia that drew you in?
Yeah, I really had that month between the jobs in Dallas and Houston. Saw a lot of opportunity in the market here. My business partner at the time was starting the coffee business that we now have within our portfolio of companies. We've grown that to be one of the 3 largest coffee companies in all of Colombia, soon to be number 1. Really just saw it as a market where I could leverage my US-based experience, attract investment capital from US folks who wanted to expand into new markets and find new opportunities. And I wanted to be kind of part of that, enabling people to be able to do that, and saw a good opportunity here, as well as generally just liking it.
I like that. Well, and that's the other question. What keeps you there? What's keeping you? I mean, the business I get, that's easy. Yeah. But if the lifestyle, if the culture, if just how you're living day to day isn't great, you'd find a way to unravel from the businesses. So what is it about Colombia that keeps you there?
I've reflected on this more and more, obviously with the pandemic and things like that. And things were pretty locked down here for an extended period of time. And so I asked myself, really without my wife and my family and everything here, kind of would I still be here? Tough question to answer from a what if perspective, but I would give most of the credit to my wife, her family, the ability to find opportunities and kind of the freedom that I have to live and explore here. I think those are all benefits. And I think the uniqueness from the business perspective and the things that we're doing excite me every day. So I think, kind of in my reflection and to answer your question, I think I still would be here and enjoying it regardless of kind of viruses or non-viruses or whatever it is. I enjoy the life here.
Do you find a lot of expats there? I mean, is there a large expat community are you plugged in with them? Just kind of curious about that.
It's continuing to grow. I think Colombia, LATAM, places like Mexico, kind of Costa Rica, especially like you'll see it a lot with the Go Abundance guys. A lot of people are more and more open to exploring the world, looking for new opportunities, maybe splitting time between the US and other locations. The cost of living here brings a lot of expats, retirees. I mean, if you're on Social Security, you can live like a king here and just bank on that. The weather's amazing. Where I am in Medellin, they call it the land of eternal spring. So basically we have US spring climate year round. People enjoy that as well. And I see more and more investment capital and people looking for business opportunities versus the kind of purely come and enjoy it from a tourist perspective, continuing to develop with more and more years here.
What's the downside? Like, what is it? I mean, you're an American guy. You've lived in a certain culture for your entire life. Buffalo is Madison, Wisconsin is Chicago. I mean, like
Yeah.
there's a lot of commonality there. Is there anything from a lifestyle perspective that's still a little bit hard for you to navigate, or a downside to being an expat in a country like that?
Touches on your previous question, but I would say building relationships is challenging just because of I guess you have less people to choose from, to be honest with you. And part of my motivation for being GoBundance is put myself around people who are like-minded, even though I'm at a distance, and work to build those relationships. I think things continue to evolve and get better here, and you're seeing more, I would call, kind of human and intellectual capital entering the market.
Sure.
People are spending more time here or exploring projects and opportunities, but you still have I would call it a tight community of people that I would say are kind of thinking on the same wavelength as you and I might be.
How's the Spanish for you?
I would say it's fluid or near fluid, but I still get weird looks whenever I get in a taxi cab, and there's usually a breaking in period of this person isn't going to know anything I'm saying, so they don't really listen, but I think I got it down.
Is there any from a safety perspective, is that a concern? Like, you hear about folks that moved to Puerto Rico. I've talked to a few of those because of Act 20, Act 22, a few of those folks that have moved there. And they report on like, hey, it's a great life, but there's certain times a day, you got to be careful going out. That similar, or is it not that your experience in Colombia?
I mean, pick your poison, whether you're in, name your cities, Buffalo, Houston, wherever it might be. It's kind of go to the right places and be around the right people. But I can tell you, I've never had any experience here that for me, I would consider dangerous or anything like that. But I also, try to keep my nose clean.
Much as you can.
Yes.
You mentioned in the month that you visited, you met your business partner in that month. Is your business partner Colombian? Is he an expat or she an expat? And talk a little about how that, in a short period of time, how you met your business partner within that month.
Yep. He's from North Carolina, former PricewaterhouseCoopers, really focused on M&A and did largely banking transactions, M&A, really all over the world between Beijing, Hong Kong, Bermuda, now Colombia. We connected because he was right at the point of launching the coffee business that we have. 99% of our investor base are US folks. To bring money into Colombia, to attract that investment capital, you still have to comply with all the US regulation around raising investment money. So he needed somebody with my experience in SEC, capital markets, working for the firms that I mentioned and the clients I mentioned, to kind of help springboard and do some of the legal work behind it, but also kind of advise on how to attract that capital into really a new market and a new opportunity. So we connected on that front. I loved what was going on, helped from the US, and then January 2018 decided to make it a full-time move.
Love it, man. I love it. That's incredible. What are the long-term plans? Are you envisioning a life in Colombia?
I do, especially with my wife's family here. Yeah. We'll split time, of course. My family is really spread out now across the US. But the goal right now is build some special businesses, enjoy the time here, spend the time with her family while we can. Her parents are a little bit older. So we try to take advantage of that, but give her the opportunity. She's a doctor here, to explore her career and just see kind of where life takes us. The one thing I've learned in telling you my story and reflecting on it is you just never know where things are going to go. But for the moment, very content and very ambitious in terms of what we're trying to do and enjoy the life that we have.
That's amazing. As long as you make it back once a year for a game with the kids, eventual kids, if you decide to have them. That's important. I have on my one sheet, as it's been on there forever, bucket list, is to watch a game from the sideline with my two sons. That's a goal.
Very nice.
A one game in Buffalo, of course.
Very nice.
Maybe I can
you talked about Colombia being dangerous, but I think that Bill's parking lot for those tailgates might be potentially more.
If you're a Patriot fan in particular, yeah, I've seen that. Real quick aside, when I moved to Boston years ago, there was an article on the front of like the sports section of the Globe about it. So it was this Patriot fan with like his hands taped both his hands taped. He got beat up at a tailgate, which is terrible, in Buffalo.
Yeah.
And was the only thing that made me kind of like, the way he described it was like he was just sort of alive, and then he started getting kicked by a bunch of Bills fans. And I'm like, you weren't saying anything. You weren't, no mouthing off. I'm not saying it's justified.
Yeah.
But I think there needs to be at least a trigger. Like lions don't attack unless there's at least so.
No. Well, I'm glad you see those videos now. I'm glad on your one sheet it doesn't say throw my wife through a table in the parking lot.
Right. There is a great viral video of a baby going through a table. They built a little baby table and they lowered the baby down and then like it's a little thing. It was cute. It was neat. It was a fun little way of doing it. But
gosh.
Anyway, we digress.
Yes.
So you and your partner have built, I believe it's Legacy. Is that the name of the company?
Yeah,
Talk a little bit about that and what we talked about, the coffee company. And I want to dive a little more in on that, but give me an overview. And then like we talked about before, like take us down the funnel a little bit.
Sure. So Legacy Group is a private equity fund that we built here. Like I said, we either create businesses or place our own investment capital into various businesses here. I'd say the roots of the business really go to what we're doing in coffee. Started back in 2017, the Green Coffee Company. We've grown that to be, as I mentioned, the third largest producer of coffee in the country. We'll be number one next year. We've brought about $20 million into Colombia to support that business. Honestly, a large chunk of it coming from GoBundance and the current funding round that we have going on. Been a huge boom for what we're doing, and very grateful, and had the privilege of having a lot of the guys from the group come down and see what we're doing. Great way to build connections and, in a way, open up new opportunity to people who want to come and explore Colombia and don't know where to go or what to do. So we try to show everybody a fun time while they're here. Yeah. We also have an interesting investment in a tech company down here. They went from the time we invested in them, 2019, it was basically three guys in an old apartment that really special from a talent perspective with respect to design, video game creation, e-learning, a lot of the kind of industry metrics in the tech space that are taking off right now. We invested in those guys back in 2019. Now they have 96 employees, penthouse floor in one of the nicer buildings here in the city. They'll do about 3 million of revenue this year and should be one of the, call it, top tech companies in the country this year. So really seeing kind of something special grow there. And we just continue to try and find unique opportunities in exciting industries and open those to investors.
How do you vet that? So you've got coffee down. You went down that rabbit hole, created, you're in the Green Coffee Company, which I'll talk a little bit more about here in a second. Yep. But then now you're in e-learning and tech and video games and all that stuff, and you're vetting this company, three dudes in an apartment, and you mentioned there's talent there. Like, how do you determine that? How do you learn that? Like, what's the team? What's the process? If you don't mind just kind of diving in and giving us some peek behind the curtain.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, in some way, that one was kind of lucky for us. My business partner before me had found those guys, and they were helping him do some work with toys and this kind of thing. And he had actually, and it sounds ridiculous to say, but taken some money out of the business that they had and invested without telling my now business partner about it. Yeah. So as that kind of unraveled, we came to meet these guys and said, you know what, these guys have a ton of talent. We basically had a remaining commitment amount in the equity that they were raising. And we just saw the opportunity and said, let's fill it out. So they were raising money at like 300,000 valuation. We bought about 25% of the business. And like I said, now it's a $3 million a year revenue business, and they're really just getting started. So in a way, lucky, in a way, being willing to take some risk, not playing with a huge amount of money, but at some point, just seeing potential and going for it.
I love it, man. That's incredible. Let's pivot over to Green Coffee, because there has been a lot. I know Jake Harris went down there. A few other guys went down to check it out, and I saw you present about it in Atlanta. I believe it was Atlanta when you talked about it, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Really, really interesting company and an opportunity. You mentioned third largest Colombian coffee company, will soon be number one. Can you frame that for me a little bit? Like, are there only three Colombian You know what I mean? Like, what does that look like? I don't know this world of coffee. So can you give us sort of like a 2-3 minute sort of overview of the coffee business and how green coffee fits in, or what the niche is, or what exactly it is that your growth proposition is based on?
Yeah, absolutely. I guess starting just kind of with the industry in general, I would say, if people know coffee, Colombian coffee is kind of synonymous with the industry. It's the third largest coffee producing country on earth behind Brazil and Vietnam. Really, there's no market opportunities there for foreign investment. Vietnam, I think it's actually illegal for foreign investment to come into domestic companies there. Brazil, there's just kind of playing at a different scale, and there's really nothing open, especially with U.S. operators. And we structure everything out of the U.S. to make it frictionless for our investors so that they can participate. The play really is take an old industry that's very decentralized with old technology and play the consolidation game and operate at scale to become macroeconomically significant in Colombia, but also in the industry as a whole. So, for example, 95% of the coffee producers here in Colombia have less than 3 acres of land. So you have a major issue where you have a lot of production, but very little ability to export. A lot of the business is done through the national federation that's set up here. But we were able to kind of take this idea a few years ago, consolidate land holdings from second, third generation families that were selling and really kind of wanted to move on in life. Put those land holdings together, consolidate infrastructure. Just 2 weeks ago, we opened what's really the most technologically advanced coffee facility we know in Colombia, and perhaps globally, from a processing perspective, being able to establish quality and consistency in our coffee so that we can sell to international buyers like Starbucks, Sucafina, Nestle, those kind of folks. Really, the business is premised on the idea that through that consolidation, through that scale, by going further down the value chain, we can open ourselves up to interesting business opportunities in terms of an exit for our investors, whether it be to PE, to selling the business to one of our clients, or the one that we're most excited about and leveraging my background, my business partner's background, is really getting to an IPO in the US. And using the coffee business as kind of a jumping off platform for not only being a great coffee company, but building other product lines and businesses around what we're doing.
What green? Why green?
It's kind of a play on words in the sense that it's green coffee is the pre-roasted version. So if you ever see like a coffee bean that's dried, but then it also ties into the sustainability component and all the initiatives that we're pushing here, whether it comes to employee treatment, energy conservation, recyclables, and use of byproducts, really plays into that sustainability initiative, which is driving a lot of value of the business. So it has that double sense from a naming perspective.
I like that. Yeah, kind of double entendre almost.
Yes,
that's the right.
I wasn't sure if that was the right way to use it, so I avoided entendre.
I don't think it is. Well, you're very lawyerly of you. I just dive into it and look like an idiot. No problem. Double entendre. I've heard that phrase before. We'll call it that. Now, are you still open and raising on the fund for green coffee, or is it like, fully funded, ready to go?
We started at 9.6 million, and as of today, we're down to 325,000.
Wow, left to raise.
Yes, so really touching the end there.
We might have to chat at the end.
Okay.
All right, cool. So green coffee, you're doing all this great stuff. What is next? Is it just continuing down this path, or are you looking at other companies with legacy? Like, I'm just kind of curious what the next level is.
I think the goal right now is to go really deep on the coffee business and make sure we deliver on what we've promised to investors.
How much coffee are you drinking per day right now? I'm curious.
I'm only at about 2 cups. I'd rather sell it. You're just not supposed to consume your own product. That's the whole.
I love it.
So we'd rather sell it than consume it.
And if you covered it, but like distribution wise, is green coffee something I can go to my local Kroger or Tops if you're up in Buffalo? Like, where do I find green coffee?
Right now we sell B2B. So we're focused on sales here in Colombia and then to large international buyers. So like I mentioned, like the Starbucks, Sucafinas of the world, we'll do about 3 million pounds of coffee this year. We'll export about 40%. We're continuing to move further and further down the value chain. This month we'll be opening the Amazon store really as a kind of a marketing exercise and trying to get our coffee into hands of investors. Incredible demand. We have Go Abundance guys who are in the project and they're asking for 100 bags to give to their family for the holidays, which is great. So in many ways that's driving it. But as the business continues and as we progress, we'll continue to go further down the value chain because that's where the margins are. What do I mean by that? We'll basically be opening coffee roasters in the US. We'll be selling wholesale, working with some brand creation, getting brands under management. All it really does is allow us to sell our own coffee further down the line and increase the margins.
What's going on, everybody? It's Jamie. I'm jumping in real quick here because some people are listening to this podcast thinking, man, I hear this guest, I hear what they're talking about. This whole Go Abundance thing sounds pretty cool. I'd love to be a part of that. And I would say to you, if you are qualified to be part of Go Abundance, you're a millionaire or accredited at the very least, jump onto GoAbundance.com and just put your application in. You'll get on a call. It might even be with me where we can talk about what you're trying to do, what you're trying to accomplish, and what it is to be part of this community in depth. Would love to have a conversation with you about that. It's been just so life-changing for me. And for those of you out there that are saying, yeah, sounds great, I would if I were a millionaire or if I were accredited, but I'm not there yet. We've got that now. We've built a program and I run it. I love being a part of it. I left my job for it, called Emerge and Ascend. Emerge is where you got to start. It's a 12-week intensive sprint goal-setting course. You're going to get curriculum every week. You're going to get live intervention every week. You're going to get connection with GoAbundance members every week. You're going to get accountability from like-minded people every week. Jump into that, kill it, and we invite you to Ascend, which is essentially the GoAbundance Mastermind without the $1 million requirement. And we actually even add in coaching to help folks find their purpose, their mission, their values. It's intense. It's everything all wrapped in one. So again, if you're a millionaire or you're at least accredited and you're wondering about this GoAbundance thing and that shouldn't I, just apply. Throw your name in. You lose nothing. All you do is put your name into an application form, you get on a phone call, and then you decide. If you're not yet at that $1 million mark, look at Emerge, GoAbundance.com/emerge. And what you can do as well is drop my name in there, Jamie, Jamie, and we'll knock $200 off the tuition for Emerge. Jump in there and we'll get you started on your journey toward being a whole life millionaire, toward getting to GoAbundance, whatever you want. People in Emerge, people in Ascend, people in GoAbundance all report back often the changes it's made in their lives financially, relationally, and everywhere else. So go to GoAbundance.com, check all of that out. See wherever you are, dive into that particular area of GoAbundance, and we'd love to see you inside of the tribe. Now, back to our show. How much, this is a curiosity question because you've got a unique brand, a unique proposition. It's not another, it's not a real estate syndication. It's not a real estate fund. I mean,
Right.
A lot of stuff that you see out there is that this
Right.
is like, a tequila fund or a bourbon fund or a coffee fund or all of that stuff.
Yeah.
How much investment or how much do you leverage vanity in a product like this when attracting investors? Does that question make sense? Like the 100 bags and all of that, like how much do people just want to be invested in something cool? And that's where, and how much do you leverage that to attract investors, if at all?
People love coffee. That's it's not going anywhere. And I think people enjoy the uniqueness of the experience. Also, Colombia, people who have been here love it and try to find, I think, a way to be involved in the market and see the opportunity. I think at the end of the day, though, it's always a financial question that drives investment. But,
Sure.
It doesn't hurt to have something that people are passionate around, or, we'll send them the coffee and I get pictures of them, putting it through the French press and doing those kind of things. It's also a lifestyle element of it where a lot of, as you mentioned, some of the guys from GoAbundance are coming down here. We're taking them out to the farms in the helicopters. They're able to touch and feel the coffee. They're just doing something different that, like you said, in your typical real estate syndication, it might not be as unique and exciting to somebody. So I'm sure there's a psychological component of it, but it's always a financial question at the end of the day.
Sure. And you're marketing to the financial, the person investing from a financial perspective for sure. But
Very much so.
But like when you presented, I remember when you presented at Atlanta, there was something about it that was just sexy. Not you. I mean,
Sure.
yes, you're married now or off the market,
Sure.
so I'm not talking about you specifically being sexy, although you are. But there's something sexy about obviously the investment above and beyond it being a financial win. So yeah, I'm just
Yep.
curious, a guy, like you who's so embedded in what you've done from a fundraising, SEC, all that stuff perspective, how much that sexiness of brand or that vanity of brand is ever marketed to. But it sounds like it's there, but you're really speaking to the financials.
It's critical, I think, and it will be more so down the line, as we move, I guess, call it away from B2B sales, and it's more of a consumer facing company.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the value you're seeing created on public markets these days, a lot of it is around name recognition and companies that people know and that they basically use and are clients of. A lot of retail capital going in that direction. But we always want to have strong fundamentals and make sure the business works for investors and has kind of a strong financial backing to it. Really, the generation of the business was designed to be appealing to real estate investors who were looking for cash flow, who wanted to do something a little bit different than, call it, commercial real estate, but still wanted a collateralized asset-backed product. But what we saw with the business is, unlike commercial real estate, we could really take the roof off the potential for it by doing things like getting to an IPO or selling out to private equity, where if you're trading in commercial real estate, you're always going to be kind of limited by cap rates. And there's I would call it a ceiling when it comes to those kind of products. From an investment perspective, we knew we could create something with a strong floor, that cash flow, that had those assets to support the business, but that it could also sell for the kind of multiples that we know people are looking for, and frankly are having a hard time finding these days with what's going on across asset classes.
True. Very true. What's the duration of time? What's your projected timeline to be number one?
We'll get there in Q1 next year.
Amazing. Congrats, man. That's incredible.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's something, like you said, you think about it when you reflect for a moment, you go from Buffalo, New York to living in and owning the largest coffee company in the country known for coffee.
Yes. Yeah.
Crazy.
It's a crazy ride.
God bless, man. Amazing.
Thank you for that.
Let's dive into some of the one sheet stuff. So we're going to go pillar by pillar, and we'll talk first about the horizontal income one. Like currently, what is the horizontal income look like for you? I know a lot of it's equity based, and how many lines is that?
Yeah, mine in terms of horizontal income is low. It's all about kind of value creation. I honestly don't put a huge emphasis on kind of passive income, and the cost of living here is incredibly low. Like I probably spend about $2,000 a month. So
wow,
it costs
that's everything?
Yeah, I mean, between myself and my wife, we're probably 4,000 all in.
Wow.
So for me, I'm way more interested in, I would call it, building life-changing amounts of money versus trying to have a lot of, call it, smaller income streams. To me, it's not as interesting. So I have some single family homes back in Buffalo, just knowing the area there, but not a whole lot. I'd probably say passive income and kind of don't work at all for it would probably be about 25,000 a year, if that. Okay. But again, it's not a focus. All of my interest is in long-term value creation and trying to build kind of big exits that you get that money in and then you can redeploy that versus trying to kind of do it. I don't need it from a lifestyle perspective.
Well, no, I mean, you're a 100%er on 25,000 a year from what you described, right? Because of the cost of living basis that you have in Colombia. That's amazing, man. 25 grand, 100%er.
Yeah. Isn't that amazing?
That's
we've
awesome.
set it all up where, on a vertical income perspective, both my business partner and I make 120,000 a year. The reason for that is, and I think guys will find this interesting if they're looking at, different markets, or some guys want to move and live outside the US, but, you get right now about 108,000 in foreign income exclusion from any kind of tax liability. And then you get your standard deduction of about 12. So we add those up, we get to the 120, we pay we pay no tax. We get some passive income that offsets the kind of passive or expenses and everything that we have coming in. And then the rest is redeploying all the money that we make back into the businesses. So the coffee, for example, my business partner and I have rolled about 1.3 million into that and just continue to try and grow it and be right there alongside our investors.
Try and grow it. That's a double entendre. That's a for sure double entendre. Try and grow it. Real quick, managing houses in Buffalo from Colombia, friends, family, professional management. How do you do that?
I have a professional manager.
Gotcha. Makes sense. Takes care of everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
And 2,000 a month. What is like? Are you in a studio apartment with a Murphy bed, or it's like, give me an idea of lifestyle at 2,000 a month?
Yeah. So we live in a 3-bed apartment, three bed, 3 bath, kind of high amenity building in terms of, I got the pool downstairs and the squash court and jacuzzi and steam room. Pretty amazing. We live in, I would say, maybe not the top neighborhood here, but probably the second best in terms of where to live, but a little bit outside of the kind of tourism high action areas, so that we can be closer to my wife's family and also have a little bit more kind of peace and quiet. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of all you need to have a good life here.
Man, amazing. Thanks for sharing all that. That's incredible.
You're welcome.
How about, let's go to age defying health. So what is your weight, body fat percentage right now, if you know it?
I weigh about 180. I'd say my body fat percentage, I don't know, maybe like between, and let's give a range, maybe like 12 to 15.
Okay.
I still try to keep pretty good condition. Just, I guess, never stopped from the football days in terms of exercise and trying to eat healthy and stay active and going out for a run as soon as you and I finish here. So
there you go.
Part of the life I try to put on speed dial and focus kind of where the mind needs to be active. So
I like that a lot, man. It's funny. Like I do these spin class posts. People know me for that a little bit. I go to spin class left, but the reason I like spin class, I don't have to think. I can just go. Somebody else tells me what to do. They yell at me for 45 minutes, and then I'm out. And there's no like, let me check my phone between sets or whatever. So I get that. Like set the mind on cruise control. That's cool.
Yeah. I mean, you got multiple podcasts. I know you guys are really active business wise too. So the more you can kind of program to just happen naturally, I think that's a good thing.
It's a great way of putting it. I like that. You mentioned football real quick. What was high school? Did you play some college?
I played in college. Yeah. Believe it or not, I used to be a 250-pound defensive end. So now at 180, I'm a shell of my former self.
No kidding. You played at Ithaca.
I did.
That's amazing. I love it. Yeah. That's great. All right. Tell me about, we already talked about family, married. I'm just curious, kids, plans for kids, thinking about it. Nah, never. What's the mindset on kids?
I think we'll do it. I think we've been like, neither of us has been like definitely yes or definitely no. So we've just drifted in a little bit of a no man's land,
Sure.
Having the wedding last year, but also kind of losing, I'd call a good chunk of 2 years with respect to the virus and being able to kind of do the travel and exploration that we wanted to. It's time to, I guess, transition to that and think about it more. I think we'll have one. That's my expectation. I think that's more than enough. We go see my
that'll mean 2. You'll have the one, and then you'll be like, the one. Provided everything goes okay. For you, the one is going to be like, man, they just require so much of our attention. They need a running mate. So 2 is sort of like completing the set. Like you got the one plate on the wall, you need the other one. That's the second kid.
I'm willing to take you up on this wager that it'll only be one.
I don't know. You have too much control over this, so yeah. No, I won't take that bet. I won't take.
Maybe I might need your bet to be the reason to not have the second one. So we might have to do this.
I like that. All right. What about life happiness? What's your life happiness index right now, and what are you working on most?
Yeah, I went through this and filled out the one sheet here. I got a 7.12.
Okay. Thrown
off a little bit by, I guess, the children is a 0, so that focuses in on the average. But I kind of judge myself on a daily basis, and I'd say I wake up excited and enthused for kind of all things that my life has to offer right now. whether it's business or seeing my wife, who I love and is really a special person and fantastic, building new relationships. I've learned to maybe with the move down here and everything, just kind of open myself up to all the different possibilities and kind of serendipity that comes with just going through the world on a daily basis. So I would say I'm derive most of my happiness from just being optimistic and open to possibilities.
I like that. You mentioned children 0, but you're happy with where you are with children, right?
Yes.
So why not a 10?
Oh, I don't know. I thought if it was children, it would be, it had to be, if there were none, it had to be 0. But I think you've changed how I need to look at this, I guess.
There you go. I've increased your life happiness just in one conversation, huh?
You have. I should see what it does to the.
Not bad. How about contribution? Where do you contribute? What do you contribute? Or your give back ratio? Whatever you want to share with that.
This is another one that I think a lot about, and kind of what's the best use of my money and time and what to do. What I've seen is the way that we have the most impact, honestly, is through growing and building these businesses. This year, we'll reach 400 employees in the businesses that we have. That's full time. We have another 300 part-time workers that work with us as we're working through the coffee season. To me, to go from 0 to basically becoming the largest employer in the town that we work in, kind of being so fundamental in the lives of so many of those folks, whether be it through investment dollars or building those businesses, to me, that's the best direction of kind of capital. For example, the tech company that I mentioned to you, they this year will sponsor about 2,000 scholarships for not only children, but even adults in the community here who their whole life have been interested in accessing technology, working in video games, all the kind of facets of that industry that honestly require usually technology, money, access to computers, access to internet that a lot of people don't even have the ability of touching. So, being able to do that, potentially provide jobs for those kind of people, that's where I find to be the most kind of the best use of my time and resources. And I'm sure we'll continue to explore some more kind of ways to give back and do some things there. Close uncle of mine just got through a cancer fight in the last year and a half or so, and we're looking at doing some donations there and that, and participating maybe in some of the kind of the marathons and the runs that are directed towards those causes. But to me, if I want to make an impact at scale, I think the best thing is to give opportunity and jobs.
I love that. I think that's true contribution. So that's a great answer. I appreciate you laying that out. How about you, GoPod? Who is in it, and what's the current discussion right now?
Yeah, I just started with a new one in the champions group. So it is Tyler Evans, Paul Coroneos, a few other guys that are still kind of chipping in. So we're really just getting that off the ground.
A couple of crypto guys, though, huh? Big crypto discussions in that pod, no?
A lot of the crypto discussion, yeah, it is. Those guys like that. That is not my universe. So I just kind of absorb and listen and see if there's an opportunity. But I think from the preliminary discussions we've had, I like the optimism among the group. Some of the guys are investors, so I've gotten to know them a little bit previously. And I think it's the high point is definitely just taking a little bit of time out of your week and spending time with guys who kind of think the same way as you do, and hearing about the things they have going on in their lives, picking up kind of tidbits of information, or whether they're reading a good book or anything like that. And then, trying to contribute a little bit as well and work on those relationships.
Love it, man. Love it. What's the next trip you're planning? What's the next adventure in your life?
Just got back from Houston. I went there to see family, but also to see the Chris Stapleton concert. If you know who he is.
I don't,
awesome.
But I'm guessing country music.
It is. Yeah.
Sounds like a country name. So yeah.
Incredible. Did that. And then the next trip for the year, still trying to make Dallas work for the champions event there. And then going up to Florida, we have for New Year's, we have basically all of the Colombian side of the family going with us. And then a lot of the US, my side of the family getting together in Florida where my mom lives. We're going to do a lamb roast one day. We're going to do the typical Colombian sancocho, the soup that they make here every New Year. So kind of blending those two cultures together. And, we'll be driving the bus from Miami to Punta Gorda with, the whole group there. So it'll be a lot of fun.
I love Dominican sancocho. My wife's Dominican, so we share that as well.
Perfect.
We've got Ithaca College, we've got the Buffalo Bills, and we have Latin American spouses. So there you go.
And good soup and food.
And bald.
That's true.
So all good stuff. All right, cool. Let's wrap this up with a question from the GoBundance card game. It's funny. I looked at this before, and as you talk through, I think it's a good question. The two of clubs. What could you do today that you couldn't do a year ago, and what will you be able to do in a year? What can you do today that you couldn't do a year ago? Yeah, go for it.
My professionally, I've moved basically almost fully away from being an attorney to basically an entrepreneur, thinking about strategy, building businesses. I would say a lot of that has occurred over the last year, and the creative energy necessary to kind of push through the pandemic and all the stuff that we've had to deal with in our businesses. A year from now, well, I expect that everything we're doing will have accelerated probably beyond kind of even where I think that they'll be from a business perspective. Maybe we'll have that kid coming that we mentioned.
The one.
Well, we only have time in the next year for one, I think, unless they come in pairs. I'm a twin, so you never know. I don't know how that works, but I try to just put one foot in front of the other every day and get better. And I think the thing that would make me the most proud is being a good husband and building these businesses and honoring, the investors that we've worked with, a lot of the GoBundance guys, making sure that everything we told them, we can stand by and deliver for them. That would make me very proud, especially since I'm so kind of intricately involved in the day-to-day of what we're trying to do. And I expect all of this to lead to building, really great relationships, and where it goes from there and what conversations I'll have, time will tell.
I love it, man. I love it. All great stuff. I do have one other closing question before I find out where people can meet, learn more about you. But how much does it drive you nuts when somebody says, "How would you like your wings?" and they say buffalo?
That one doesn't bother me as much as the people that eat the wings with the ranch dressing. That to me is
blue cheese or bust, right?
That to me is horrible. And then down here, I've seen people eating them with wearing like the plastic gloves. That to me is, part of it is the messiness and all of that. So
100%. Yeah, it always kills me. Like the further I move from New York, wing. Okay, how do you want your wings? It would be mild, medium, or hot. Right. It was implied that they're buffalo wings. That's where they're from. But around here, it's like, buffalo or teriyaki or barbecue. It's like, no. Within buffalo, it's mild, medium, or hot. You don't say buffalo wings. It kills me.
I've seen people order them with Alfredo sauce before. To me, that's ridiculous. Absolutely.
Un-American, white, Colombian even.
White sauce. Well, you'll be happy to know that when we finish the cap raise for the coffee company, our celebration will be a buffalo wing tour back in Buffalo.
So what? That's Anchor Bar? Like, what do you mean? Oh, just hitting them all. Duffy's, Anchor Bar, all of them. Is that the tour?
Have to. Exactly.
Got it. I love it.
So it never leaves your blood, whether it's the Bills or the wings or whatever. It's always there.
Pierogies. All right. Where could people learn more about you, Green Coffee Legacy? Where do you want to direct folks to?
I think, for the GoBundance guys listening, best place is just find me on the Facebook group, the GoBundance Elite, or now we have the Go Suite. Email is good too. It's adam.j@legacy-group.co, not .com, .co like in Colombia. Yep. And, you guys can find me anywhere, but, GoBundance guys, definitely the Facebook group. I'm pretty active there and try to keep up with the conversation. So that's a good place.
Good stuff, man. Appreciate you coming on. Hope the eternal spring is treating you well down there in Medellin.
Yes, sir.
And, look forward to getting to a Bills game, or at least hooking up at one of these events in the near future. So
absolutely. Thanks,
okay.
Jamie, for the time and the opportunity. I appreciate it.
Sure thing. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Let us know down in the comments, and make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you can be informed on the next episode and other content right here on this channel. Thank you.